All right, guys, we have got Mike O'Hara joining us. You can check out all his work on DetroitLions.com. Hey, Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mo.
Hey guys, it was a little while there when I was sitting there on hold.
Oh my God, Mo!
I wanted to. Did I fall asleep and wake up on New Year's Eve?
You did. You did.
You guys are crazy.
Hey, tell us your thoughts on what we've been talking about. He wants out of Green Bay now. Do you see it?
The only thing I heard. Well, hold on. Well, let me talk then, okay, Tommy?
Look,
we make a deal.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
It's your show.
Well, the only thing, the one part about what you said, the team that wants to win, guys, they were 13-3 last year. They're one drive away from going to the Super Bowl, and that one drive away, okay, they kicked the field goal on fourth down. That came after 3 incomplete passes in the end zone. He's not blameless either. Now, look, am I going to side against Aaron Rodgers building a team? Absolutely not. But a lot of things go into teams winning, and a lot of things go into teams losing. And he was part of all of that. But the bottom line, they were 13-3 for the second straight year. So that's not a team that's not trying to win. I mean, wake up.
No. We didn't say
that. No, we think that he's trying to win.
Us.
No, absolutely. We think he's trying to win. We're saying that if his heart's not in the Packers anymore, he's going to want out. There's going to be so much of him just not wanting to be there. We all
not
are
all,
in agreement
you
that.
Two.
No. We said we're all in agreement that when he's on the field, obviously it's his name, it's his stats. He's going to be the best that he can. But we just feel that there's going to be so much tension between upper management and him and other players. Everything's going to just become a distraction if he doesn't want to be there.
Listen, ask Derek McCarty how much tension exists in good teams, bad teams, and average teams. That's what fuels people. That's part of competing.
So
everyone isn't hold on. Everyone isn't idiotically happy all the time. When you get out there on the field, you get on the ice or the baseball diamond, you play as hard as you can to win because you're playing for yourself and you're playing for your buddies. All that other stuff, it's great fodder in the off season. To me, it's entertainment. I don't pay an awful lot of attention to it really leading to anything else.
But here's the thing, Mike, is that throws me off is that it's Aaron Rodgers reporting this. You know, like Schefter reporting that Aaron Rodgers said this. So it's either there's twofold, right? It's either to make the deal or it's to let the organization know, like you said, they're that close, don't mess up this draft like he felt they did last year with that draft pick. Could you see it being sort of, why would he come out and say that, like right now? After hearing that, that's what I'm saying. It's just the timing of it. And he seems to me like, I guess, if there's any diva that, like, he's not a guy, like a Josh Allen seems like he's a guy that's a meek guy that will go with the system and, you know, no matter what, his feelings aren't going to get in the way. Aaron Rodgers is a feeling sort of guy that you know the way he's feeling by his actions, you know, as a quarterback, you know, missing a pass or doing whatever else. What do you read into this then? Is this just smoke and BS and something, or is there something to this coming out?
I think there's something like coming out. I mean, a lot of the stuff that comes out, these are really good reporters, the guys at ESPN, Schefter, and the other guys. So they're not making things up. These is actually things that have been said and all that. But you can't run your team, you can't run your franchise every time, even if it's a star player, is a little bit upset about something. You know, there's a way to placate him, and that's give him the assets, weapons, whatever you want to call it, on offense to compete at the highest level. And really, with the exception of drafting that quarterback last year, they've really done that. They've got an all-pro wide receiver, Pro Bowl running back, really good offensive line. They've got Aaron Rodgers. So they've really taken care of that team and building that team. There's a reason. I think something like with 9 of the last 12 years they've won the division title. That's been a really, really good strong franchise. It's on a really, really good run. Now, they haven't gone the distance. They won one Super Bowl in 2010, but that's one more than a lot of franchises have won.
I think that's great clarity. Now to more important, because it's Christmas for us Lions fans. What are the Detroit Lions doing at number 7 in Mike O'Hara's brilliant opinion, because you've watched more Lions games than anybody I know?
That's why I'm demented. I admit it. It's gotten to me.
Self-awareness, buddy. They did it to you, but you're on top of it.
You know what I think I'm going to do? I heard that there's going to be a Grinder reunion tour.
There is, actually.
Is there really? Because I want to audition as a rhythm guitarist. I know 3 chords.
You're in. That's all
I
you
only
need.
know 3.
That's all 3 you know, bro. You ram it out anytime. We'll kick out the jams.
No matter what you play, I just play my 3 chords, A, D, and E. That's it. That's all I got.
Way to go, Angus. I love it.
Live Aid. No,
it.
to get back to the draft and all that. Look, I think the Lions are in a really good spot. They're not in complete control of that spot because there are 6 picks ahead of them, and that could, in some way or other, depending on who goes before them, could, shape the talent pool that's available to them. Now, I think we all can agree that there are going to be 3 quarterbacks go off the board with the first 3 picks, and then that leaves you, from Atlanta to the Cincinnati Bengals to the Miami Dolphins, and then the Detroit Lions at 7. And if the issue is what's left for the Detroit Lions, and I think there'll be a good player there. I think there'll be more than one good player there, and there'll be good options there too. And it's whether to draft a player or take a trade down. And you can take your choice of which you think is better for building this team. I usually go with the player because I know if you've got a good player in right there in your hands, go ahead and take him. But I also see the value of trading down. So I mean, there's a couple of ways the Lions can go, and like I say, it starts with who's on the board when it's their turn at number 7, and then it's how they manage having that pick, and whoever it is, what they do or not do with that pick. That'll determine the outcome of whether it's good, bad, or indifferent.
Mo, this is the first run for Brad and the gang in Allen Park. Last year, we were discussing it's very anticlimactic. We kind of knew what Quinn and Patricia were going to do, taking Jeff Okudah at 3, a cornerback, which was not something that a lot of teams would do that early. What is the main need on this team? And I know their defense was the worst in the league, but I don't think there's a Chase Young that you could pick in this first round that can satisfy Lion fans at 7. What would you personally, what would you want to take? Because knowing what's going to be there, there's a quarterback going to be there. There'll be an offensive tackle there. There'll be plenty of wide receivers there. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm starting to worry about myself because I agree with you. There is no Chase Young like there was last year. And there's also really, when you think about it, there's no Derek Brown, the defensive tackle from Auburn, who was really just an absolute monster in the middle now. Defensive tackle stats, unless you're Ndamukong Suh, they don't show up as sacks and so on as they do for edge rushers like Chase Young. For the Lions, obviously they need defensive help. That's everybody knows that. But the issue with that is, probably the first 2 defensive players off the board will be around pick 10 or pick 11. A couple of cornerbacks, good ones. Patrick Surtain the second, J.C. Horn from Clemson, I think. No, I'm sorry, he's from Virginia Tech. Those are good ball players, but I think the Lions are pretty much okay right now at cornerback. I think they've got bigger needs than that, but it's where you're sitting right now, I think you would be reaching for really the first defensive player on the board. That would probably be Micah Parsons from Penn State, who's had some issues off the field, and he might have an impact on teams' willingness, the Detroit Lions included. And I don't speak for them. That's just my opinion. That might affect their willingness to draft him, to bring somebody in who's already got some sort of problem away from the game.
Mo, I want to ask you about Micah Parsons. I've been reading and watching. I don't watch all his games, but I saw plenty. Big Ten guys, very good. Now I hear he's a 2-down player. Now, Chris Spielman was not a 2-down player. Chris Spielman has got his thumbprint on this Lions draft, and I think Sheila Ford Hemp has got her fingers in the mix here as well. Tell me about Micah Parsons. Is he a Chris Spielman type guy?
Well, he plays a different game, Tommy. Chris Spielman was a terrific inside linebacker in a 3-4. Could have played in the 4-3 too, but he really played in Wayne Fontz's 3-4 defense, and he was good at it. Look, he was an All-Pro player. He even beat out Mike Singletary one year for All-Pro. Imagine that, Mike Singletary,
amazing.
In the Hall of Fame. And I think he made 4 or 5 Pro Bowls, and Chris did, and nominated for the Pro Football Hall of Fame and all that. I'm not going to project, Micah Parsons or anybody right now that's going to have the career that Chris did. But Parsons, I think, is a 3-down player based on his speed, based on his size, based on the way he plays the game. Now, I don't think he's a player without holes. I mean, most rookies aren't, but even just generally in his game. But look, he played defensive end in high school. Came in as, I think, it was a freshman, had 100 tackles at Penn State as a freshman. He's just he's almost 245, 250 pounds, ran a 4 something 40, and really has straight out, first of all, he's got straight line speed, but he also can run sideline to sideline. And if you watch the Detroit Lions last year, they had problems at every level, up front on the defensive line, at linebacker, and in the secondary. So it's, there's 3 levels where they need help. But if you can put a linebacker in there who can run, who can tackle, who can hit, make plays, and the way Micah Parsons can when he's tuned up and ready to go, I think he'd be a good addition for the Detroit Lions. But I think there are better players on the offensive side of it available, and I really do believe that you should take the best players available when you can.
Mike O'Hara from DetroitLions.com joining us here on The Hook. Mike, after the draft, everybody likes to rate the teams, give them A's,
Yep.
B's. What do you think needs to happen so that this year people can say the Detroit Lions walked away with an A+ after these next 3 days?
Well, let me ask you this. Are we talking about rating the draft just on paper on Monday morning, or are we waiting till the end of the season? Or
No. Monday morning when everybody comes out.
When
And
all
they say
when
the
all
Detroit
geniuses
Lions
are out. Yeah.
Yep, the Detroit Lions did it right. They were focused, they were disciplined, they addressed their major needs. What really, really needs to happen for us to get that A+ on paper?
Well, they've got they got their own picks in the first and second rounds, and then 2 picks in the third rounds. I think somewhere at the top of the draft, those 4 picks, you've got to look at 2 of them who are starters in your mind, are starters, and then 2 others who are quality depth players. And obviously you'd want them to be the first and second rounds. And then the third round, maybe get a guy like Jonah Jackson last year, third round pick who played 4 years at Rutgers and then played his 5th year at Ohio State and turned out to be a starting left guard for the Detroit Lions. And that was a terrific pick by Bob Quinn and his staff there in a draft that was was pretty decent really when you think about it. So I think something along those lines. I don't know about an A+. I don't think there are an awful lot of players in this draft who are just absolute home run hitters who are going to lift the draft to A+ status. I think pretty much, honestly, in my opinion, it's pretty much a starless draft except for the quarterbacks who've given it star quality because there's so many of them that we're projecting to go up in the top, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks. But that for me, that's for the Detroit Lions, that's what it would be to really hit on those first 4 picks. And then somebody around going into the draft, they don't have a 6th or 7th round pick because they use those to acquire veteran players. But somewhere, round 4 or 5, or if they pick up an extra pick, somebody who looks like a guy who could be a contributor, maybe a special teams return man or a special teams stud that with the potential to move into a starting role later in his career.
All right, Mom, I'm just going to hit you right between the eyes here. First of all, he never gives anyone over a B-. All right, though. I just want you guys to know that going forward. Back in his Detroit News days, it was always a B or a B-. Nonetheless, I digress. Let's say Penei Sewell's there at 7, and Rashawn Slater is there at 7, and one of those top receivers is there at 7. Who should the Lions take?
Well, in my order, it would be Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater, and then a receiver. You can get receivers in the second and third round. And that doesn't mean you leave Jerry Rice on the board and say, look, I'll get one later. Well, nobody knew when they took him, was it 15th or 16th in the mid-'80s that he was going to be Jerry Rice. I mean, he knew his name, but he didn't know he was going to be that kind of player. But look, players develop, and you know what? You're allowed to coach them. You're allowed to develop them. It's not against the rules. You're allowed to, work on your player and make them better. Derek, you know that as well as anybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody knows that. You're allowed. You're allowed to coach. That's part of the game too.
Well, we hope we have a good coach here in Dan Campbell. We're keeping our fingers crossed. It hasn't worked out lately, but good things ahead. Tell me about your first draft that you covered for the Lions, Mo. What year was it? Who'd they take?
It was 1977, and they took this is off the top of my head, and there's a lot missing there.
There's a lot missing.
But 1977, it was a defensive back, Walt Williams, from either, I think he was from New Mexico State.
That's a reach.
Well, he didn't have a first-round pick. They used it to get the wide receiver, J.D. Smith. And, and he was like about a 5 or 6 year player. Didn't really work out all that great, but, good, tough-hitting kid. In fact, he said he liked to kill an ant with a sledgehammer. I said to him, well, watch your toes. But he was a pretty good player and a pretty good guy, as I recall. But yeah, that was their first pick. But the next year, they had a second round star, James Alberton London Baker III. That was Bubba Baker.
All
Best
right.
pass rusher I have ever covered with my own 2 eyes, ever.
The
Bar
Silver
none,
Rush.
Best one I've ever seen.
The Silver Rush.
Second round draft pick, just an absolutely stud coming off the edge.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
second round draft picks usually are the gems.
Hey, Darren's wearing his Barry Sanders jersey today. Is that the greatest pick in Lions history? I know it fell to them thanks to the Green Bay taking Mandarich.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know what? But I've heard personnel people say right now that if you looked at the tape on Mandarich right now, you would take him exactly where the Packers did. He just never was. He just never became as a player what he was at Michigan State. Now, whether it was some other issues which we all know have been talked about, and I think he's admitted, but that player,
Steroids.
that body, and what he did in college, steroids, you would have taken him in exactly the same spot. So
Got it.
sometimes the player fails too.
Absolutely. Hey, before we let you go, I know it's yours and my favorite day coming up on Saturday. Not only is it the draft, but it is the Kentucky Derby. And Mo used to write for the horses back in the day in his old news days and cover everything. And he covered a couple of Triple Crown winners, I know. Who you got on Saturday for the Run for the Roses?
I'm just going to give you one. I like Hot Rod Charlie.
Come on, man. You right lockstep there, Mikey boy. I love it. The Dean and the D-Mac. There we go. I love it.
Yep. So, D-Man, listen, I'm gonna go practice right now. I'm gonna get the old song
You
books
go
out.
work
and all
on
that.
those
I
three.
expect to crawl.
You're in, Mo.
Yeah, you're in. Anytime.
By the way, you know what the most important thing is? I've already got an appointment at Royal Oak Tattoo for Sunday. Get inked up for this.
Attaboy. There you go. That's Die Hard, baby. That's why we love you.
All right, Moose. Thanks a million, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Don't anybody ever tell me to grow up, okay?
No,
No way.
Never.
See you on stage.
Never, brother.
Never.
That's the best. Mike
All right,
O'Hara.
guys. Thanks for having
Thanks,
me.
man.
Thanks,
Mike O'Hara,
Mike.
DetroitLions.com, and a long-time Detroit News beat writer. Him, Kurt Sylvester on the Free Press side, Tom Kowalski for Booth Newspapers. You couldn't get a better threesome. And Dave Burkett and the boys, Justin Rodgers, and everybody there now doing a great job as well. So we got some great peeps.
My favorite thing that Mike O'Hara just said was at the very end. He said, "Don't ever tell me to grow up."
Oh, yeah.
Best advice